Well, the president hitting the golf course this weekend. Of course he was, after coming under fire for sticking to his trip schedule following the Brussels attacks. Dancing, golfing, having a great time. The president insists that the terrorists win if he doesn't get to do what he wants. But is this the right response? Joining us now, a terrific Easter morning political panel. GOP strategist Boris Epshteyn, Kristin Tate, author of Government Gone Wild, and Ryan Girdusky of Red Alert Politics. It's great to see you all this morning. I'm going to start this way.
Okay.
Ryan, do the terrorists win if the president doesn't get to golf?
No, but it would be a great incentive for the president to respond in a more pragmatic way than just sitting there and saying, you know, we should believe in freedom and plurality and democracy and secularism. And he should actually sit there and say, okay, these are policies we should articulate, we should for, and he's not doing that, and that's a void being left open for the presidential candidates. And you see it in Trump, and you see it in well, less so in Clinton, but you still see some.
You see it in Bernie Sanders. I mean, all this whole race is a reaction, of course, against Obama. Nobody says that, but it seems true to me. I know you're not allowed to say that golfing and dancing after a terror attack is arrogant and stubborn, but it kind of looks it.
Absolutely. Look, here's what Obama's response was. He did the wave at this baseball game with Castro. Then he tangoed in Argentina. That was his response. He gave 51 seconds to addressing the Brussels attack when he gave his speech in Cuba. 51 seconds. And he did it in a very, in a way that made it seem like he didn't even want to be talking about it. This is our president. Do you remember after 9/11 what the UK did? They played the national anthem outside of the Queen's Palace. That was a beautiful moment. This was Brussels 9/11, and Obama could not care less.
Yeah, and Tony Blair came over. Now, Boris, like a lot of my favorite people, I think you're an immigrant to this country,
yes,
pro-immigration. But why does the Brussels terror attack require us to bring in tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees? Why is that a natural response?
It absolutely does not. I mean,
seems demented.
Seems like using a horrible, horrible event in a crisis for some sort of liberal, crazy benefit, and that's what Obama is doing. You've had pretty much a lame duck president acting like a lame duck president for 8 years, 7 years now.
Yeah.
And this is the worst I've ever seen. I mean, this is terrible. The scene of him doing the wave, dancing, now golfing. American people want to be comforted, right? They want to be comforted, not told, well, now because this is happening in Europe, we need to bring the refugees here. We're seeing what it's done to Europe. It's ripped Germany, Belgium, France apart. Why are we doing the same to our country? It does seem like there's some sort of ulterior motive that I simply do not understand.
I think Americans in the wake of a terror attack want to be lectured on their moral inferiority by their supercilious president. I think that's the impression.
Don't let in people who are conducting those attacks.
Right. This is the result of your bigotry, America. Always the message. So, Ryan, to the Democratic race, which is pretty unbelievable all of a sudden.
Right.
Bernie Sanders last night swept 3 states, and not just one. Now, of course, they're proportional, unfortunately, the Democratic side, but by like 80% in the case of Washington, Alaska, and Hawaii, the other 2, by huge, huge margins. Why can't Hillary put this man away?
Because Hillary has no message she's running on besides, you know, I mean, her bill's out there slamming Obama. He's the one person slamming the last 8 years of the presidency. She's running as if George Bush is still in the White House. And she really has no new ideas. No one believes her. She lacks authenticity. She lacks a demeanor that says that she's going to change something for the next 8 years. And every person that I know, I mean, I know a lot of Democrats from New York City, and I know a lot of Democrats. None of them, besides the older ones who are more established, are for Hillary.
Well, of course, that's the thing. I mean, if you look at the numbers at Democratic voters under 30, I mean, in some states 2 weeks ago, it was 90% for Bernie Sanders. So we spent all this time, Kristin, looking at the drama on the Republican side, which is real. But the Democratic side seems ripe for a similar kind of revolution right now.
Well, look, Bernie is Hillary's annoying little attack chihuahua. He's annoying, he's creating some disruptance, but he will not get in the way of her nomination. Only the FBI can really do that at this point. But I will say that he will make it harder for Hillary in the general election because Bernie has been able to get this rabid passion behind his campaign. Hillary has not been able to do that. She's a very stiff, very cold candidate, and all these Bernie supporters are not going to be too excited to go show up for Hillary at the polls. I mean, look, I'm a millennial. On my Facebook feed, I see all these millennials posting about Bernie. They're super excited about him. I see a bunch of people saying, hey, even if this man doesn't get the nomination, I'm going to write in Bernie on my ballot.
Well, I think a lot of people feel
for the record, we're all millennials.
Right. Boris? I mean, they're really pretty close. They're within 300, I think,
under
delegates.
300, it's right about 250.
Right. So why would the Democratic Party have superdelegates, which are obviously an offense against the idea of democracy.
Right. This was their move in the 80s. They had a commission that came out and said, well, to protect against insurgent candidates, we're going to have these superdelegates who are elected officials and these super-duper crazy people who nobody knows who they are, right? So and then they can swing their allegiances. So there's about a 440 superdelegate difference now between Clinton and Sanders. But those people on a dime can turn. So we'll see. Sanders already won 14 states.
Amazing.
You don't know what's going to happen.
As a hedge against the will of the people, we'll have superdelegates.
And it might happen on both parties, right?
Thank you for joining us. I think you all are coming back later in the show. We're glad you are. Thanks.